Any public library is a compromise. You are providing services that will provide good services to everybody, not excellent services to a few, and no services to others. So we are very much about compromise, especially when you serve 13 municipalities and 2 regional districts. So how do we determine what those things are? Well, here in Canada, I imagine there are equivalent tools in other countries. We have our official community plans for our cities or strategic plans for a lot of our government organizations. Those are very explicitly stated documents, usually at a very high level, that talk about what it is that our funders and our partners want to achieve in their organizational goals in the community. So our first place to start is we look at any of those different community plans and we think, okay, what are they trying to achieve? What can we do to align our services, our collections, our approach to what that community needs? So bear in mind that if one community needs it and the other 12 don't, that's probably not one we're going to focus on, because we very much want to be about compromise and about finding something that works for everyone. So we spend a lot of time going through those community plans and making sure that we understand exactly what our communities are looking for as far as the top level government goals are. So when we move on to the next options, this is going down a little bit on the chain. We talk to our municipalities about what demographics they're expecting. So we look ahead 5, 10, 15, 25 years, along with global information systems, to see exactly where the community is going to go. Are we going to see more families, more immigrants, less immigrants? That will shape how we build the services today, because we do have to plan all those years in advance. Our strategic plans generally cover 5 years. And as a result, we are always thinking a minimum of 5 years ahead, but that's a very small operational time frame when you're considering that most libraries have a lifespan of 30, 35 years before you're building a new building, often 50. So we look ahead, very far ahead when we're doing those things. We look at the major economic drivers that are in place both now and in the future. We look at what major leisure activities are very popular in the various different areas. So for example, a way that we shape services there, we realized that there was a huge growth in disc golf, which is a type of golf played with frisbees. We quickly determined that if we were to provide a set of disc golf kits to people, that they would use those to go out and play disc golf without having to buy the sets themselves. Put 100 of them in, and of course they loan like crazy, at least during the summer, spring, and fall, not so much in the winter. But the point is looking at leisure activities at what's popular can help you to provide things that your community will love, which you can then celebrate with your funders. So we look at major cultural institutions, museums, art galleries, universities. We find which of those services are offering various things that are collaborative with us, and then we try and offer programming and collections that will support those various cultural institutions and their goals. Wherever possible, we do shared programming. It's a very way of both of us doubling our potential interest level. The last two are community consultations and community feedback. So community consultations are the very formal process, often undertaken by a consultant, where you actively go out in a variety of mediums. So you might use internet surveys, you might use telephone surveys, you might use in-person public meetings to directly ask the community what it is that they would like to see the library do next. Usually there are parameters around it. You're always going to get somebody who says, I want you to loan me a Ferrari. We probably can't do that, but we can certainly loan books about Ferraris, for example. The community feedback is the other half of that. It's the more passive thing where you look at all of the feedback forms you get from your community and you determine what it is that they like most about your services and what things that you perhaps want to really double down on to get a lot more bang for your buck. But it's basically the two halves. One's very deliberate and intentional and focused on specific possible new services. The other is looking for that broader sort of passive feedback from people who are just saying, hey, I love the library. These are things that I think the library would be really great that I would use the library more for if I were there. So those are the sort of the basic ways that we look at researching and understanding our communities. I did want to caution that the community consultations, although we've done them because we've done them often with consultants beforehand, we have occasionally run internet surveys, for example, on our own. They are not the most statistically valid. If you're looking at the more significant consultancy groups, they exercise a whole range of different strategies and tactics to get a very statistically valid and significant result. We often find that our municipalities are much happier supporting something which has gone through that kind of a vetting process rather than something we've done just randomly ourselves. Having said that, everything is valid if you get some good ideas out of it.